It was a snowy night, and Henna was all by herself. Her parents were out for 2 days, so she was enjoying the weather alone. Snowy nights appear to be the most enjoyable as well as scary at the same time. Pitch dark outside, and she was in her room reading a gothic novel when all of a sudden the lights went out. Maybe due to the snowfall, the lights went out, she thought. She went to the kitchen to find a candle. For some reason, she felt someone behind her. The door was creaking as if someone entered in. She tried to ignore all of that. On the rooftop, she heard heavy footsteps. She reached the kitchen and bumped into the door. She reached the doorknob and screamed. She felt someone's hand on it. She rushed in and lit the candle. As she held the candle up in her hand, she saw the shadow of a monstrous creature on the wall. She dropped the candle and ran towards her bedroom. She could hear music playing on the television in her parents' room, but there was no electricity. It was growing suspicious and scary. She was petrified and couldn't even move from her bed. Dead silence engulfed the house, not a single light penetrating inside the pitch-dark house. She heard a knock at the door. With the help of her phone's flashlight, she reached the door and opened it. To her surprise, her old friend Lenny was there. "Oh my," she said surprisingly. They both hugged each other passionately, as they haven't seen each other in quite a while. "Henna, aren't you going to let me in?" she asked teasingly. Henna let her in. She was satisfied that she wasn't alone anymore. She took her to the attic and they gossiped. Henna had managed to make hot coffee for both of them. After some time, Henna heard her phone ringing and then realized she left her phone in the kitchen. She rushed downstairs to attend the call. Emma was on the phone. She was crying.
"Hey Henna, listen. I've got bad news."
"What happened?" Henna said.
"Do you remember Lenny? She died today in a road accident, somewhere near your house,"
she explained. Henna hung up the phone, her breasts heaving as she was covered in sweat. If Lenny was dead, then who was in the attic? A wave of horror went through her body. She ran towards her room and jumped on her bed, covered her face with her hands and cried. After a few moments, she heard someone breathing close to her. She couldn't see anyone due to the darkness in the room. She held the flashlight up and jumped out of bed. Lenny's face turned into ghost-like features. Long hair, dripping with blood. Eyes turned black. Her skin was paper thin, making all the veins and arteries visible through it. Her nails were long and sharp, and a constant groan coming from her mouth. She was no more her friend, rather a ghost. She fell on the floor, begging for her life from her ghost-like friend. Lenny jumped down, dragging her half-cut leg, her long hair hanging down. She was coming closer, holding a dagger. Henna knew it was her end. She was screaming as Lenny was getting closer. When Henna's parents entered, they helped her up off the floor, and the house was glowing with lights. There was not a sign of Lenny, but her gothic novel still in her hands. She was confused about one thing. Was that just a story she was reading, captured in her mind, or was it real? When she was pondering upon this, her phone rang. Emma was calling. She answered the call. Emma was crying.
"Hey Henna, listen. I've got bad news."
"What happened?" Henna said.
"Do you remember Lenny? She died today in a road accident, somewhere near your house."
Henna knew what was going to happen.